and that was like playgrounds and that, but there's not a lot for folk just leaving school, 16, 17. I mean, there's cafes and the odd disco, but it's not much.
Hello, is that campaign clean-up? I'd like to report an incident of malicious graffitiing. If you're quick, you could catch him in the act.
Really talk about then, because we should get on with it now, is the March 1985 issue, the 100th issue. So we've talked about it before a bit, so any ideas about what we should do in that issue? We're talking about the Sentinel part of it, and the Sentinel we're going to feature. What about Tommy Smith? That's one of our major campaigns, Tommy. I mean, the paper organised, helped organise the campaign for Tommy Smith, and they raised an awful lot of money, over £6,000 to get him. So it's a major achievement for the paper and for the community.
Sometimes, trying to get the authorities to provide the service they should can mean burning up a lot of energy and not getting very far.
Number 6 on the agenda is the asbestos issue. I'll give a brief rundown on this.
Because Westerhill's people are all council tenants, dealing with the housing authority is a constant and sometimes frustrating necessity. Stan Taylor is chairperson of the Tenants Forum.
The buildings are there, they're going to stay there. The only thing we can do is try and make life a bit more pleasant. If they've got anything to say on this, about the work being done in their area.
Yeah, well, I'm not very happy about what's going on down in the Calders at the moment. Instead of taking out the asbestos panels, they're painting a sealant over it. Well, as we know, this isn't very adequate, it can be chipped off. Well, I asked the contractors what the sealant was, and whether this was a temporary measure or a permanent solution. Well, they refused to comment. They just wouldn't tell me in case I was part of the press. They told me to phone the Director of Housing, so I phoned up. But of course I couldn't find anyone there to make any comment. So, I mean, I'm not happy about this. I think we should...
It's a very strong committee. I think the Tenants Forum is being successful, very much so. In recent months we've seen a lot come out of complaints that we've put in are being seen to. I think it's getting successful. I think it's going to get even more so.
Wester Hales? Oh yes, a bad mistake unfortunately. A real disaster area. Yes, I've heard all about Wester Hales. I can't imagine how anyone would want to live in a place like that.
Mrs. Duncan?
Yes?
I am from the housing department. Now, according to our records, you haven't paid your rent for the past 2 months.
Well, there's so much wrong with the house and I've written repeatedly and nobody's done anything about it.
What, for instance?
Come in and I'll show you. Now, the windows don't fit properly and the noise I've got to put up with for 24 hours a day and the damp you can see for yourself.
Aye, that's only natural condensation.
What about the cracks in the ceiling and the walls?
Natural settlement.
Natural settlement? What about the joinery? There's no doors fit here. The skirting's off the wall.
Natural shrinkage. Now, why aren't you paying your rent?
Well, under the circumstances. It's only natural. I didn't come here by choice, but like most people, I make the best of what I've got.
People in Wester Hales are just the same as anywhere else. Outsiders always forget that.
How people in Wester Hales see themselves and how outsiders see them is something that Mary Quinn knows all about.
When we have occasion in Wester Hales to be in touch with the social services, their attitude tends to be one of either, I think, paranoia or patronage. I think it shows itself in the inadequate post office facilities that we have. I think it comes out in the very poor supermarket facilities that we have. It's almost as if anything that we have in the back of the lorry is good enough for Wester Hales, and they will accept it because they've got nothing up there. I think sometimes people start to feel quite second class and quite sort of tossed on the scrap heap up here, and I think that can happen quite easily. But I also think that the time for that is coming to an end now. People are understanding action, individual action, and they're also understanding community action. And as it grows, this sort of field of community activity grows, it's spreading. People are becoming more confident and less likely to accept the ideas and the images that are being put on them by the people outside of Wester Hales. They're starting to have this suspicion that they are really all right and they are really good people, you know, who have just been transferred in the first instance to a somewhat hostile environment, you know, through no fault of their own, and who are hell-bent on making the environment a bit less hostile than it was before.
The community employs people from outside to come here and work on its behalf. People like Angus Hardie.
Well, there's a fantastic amount of time given by local people voluntarily to developing the community. The role of people like myself is to help all these developments actually come to fruition. When a group sort of expresses some sort of need that they want to set up a new project, or a group of people actually want to set up a group in itself to meet some sort of need, and I'm there to be just what it is, a full-time worker. There are very specific skills such as accountancy, architectural skills. We have a graphic design unit with the graphic designers. Yeah, there's no doubt, I think, that the presence of these outside workers has been a tremendous benefit to the community in a number of different ways. They've been campaigning for years and years and years, and we're only just getting a police station. I think it's slightly insulting almost that the police are making a big show of the fact that they are now opening the police station in Wester Hailes. Well, it should have been here 10 years ago, and I think there should be an apology rather than congratulations offered.
...the community unless you are to be found within it. Now, we are all aware that in Wester Hailes, as in other parts of the city, of course there are problems, there are difficulties, but we also are aware that this estate has one of the most high and impressive degrees of local tenant participation and involvement in the community that I've certainly experienced anywhere in Edinburgh or indeed in many parts of Scotland. Could I simply conclude by saying that I think the fact that so many residents of the local community are here today does symbolise the extent to which Wester Hailes has come of age and the extent to which the services which any modern community is entitled to can now be seen clearly around the area. Very happy to formally declare open the Wester Hailes Police Station.
You ken how in police stations they have these two-way mirrors so they can watch you while you've been interrogated. Well, in the new Wester Hailes police station, they've tried a different approach. They've put the mirrors in the opposite way round. Somebody told me they were the wrong way round. I couldn't agree. I much prefer to keep my eye on them.
I'm phoning on behalf of Wester Hailes Representative Council to check if their request for a deputation to the Policy and Resources Committee on the 10th of September has been received. It has. That's fine, yes. It'll be Tommy Hansborough, the chairman, Anne Milne and Barbara Swan.
If the Alliance vote with the Labour, we've maybe got a better chance. At least they've promised us an answer this time. Yes, right. They've promised us an answer this time. Hopefully we'll get one.
Fingers crossed time, I think.
Yeah. Okay, come on, right.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You've already written to us a letter, so we understand the purpose of your deputation. You have 10 minutes in which to present your case. After that, members of the committee may wish to question you on the content of your presentation. Is it Mr. Hansborough who's going to lead off?
Good morning. There are a number of points I would like to raise. If this committee agrees to a continuation of the grant at the level which has been proposed, the effect will be that we will have to make one of our key workers redundant. I am aware that the region has a policy at the moment of no compulsory redundancies. We take the view that this is a compulsory redundancy which has been imposed upon us. The only difference is that the buck is being passed to a community work group to do the dirty work. We have already emphasised the importance of our key workers. I should say, though, that the present Urban Aid grant is also used to give financial support to the several community bases in Wester Hailes. The many great groups who benefit from this financial support have expressed great anger and frustration to me personally that this is about to come to an end.
If you withdraw Urban Aid from us now, we cannot go on. We have spent 5 years building up the community. Now, there wasn't anything in Wester Hailes when we first started. Now, that community has banded together and it has built something worth keeping. Now, we've gone on, we have now started to put in businesses which we hope will bring in cash, which will help the turnover within the community. We are just starting to do that now. If you withdraw Urban Aid now, we cannot continue on this path and we will never become self-sufficient. We need money to become self-sufficient like any organisation. Only we, the majority of people in Wester Hailes work, like I don't get paid for what I do, neither does Tommy or Barbara. We do it because of the community spirit we feel.
Cheers, John.